Welcome to another Knowing You show. I'm Tiffany Cano. We're here to support our empathic, spiritual community. And today I have Neo Positivity here with us, and he does a lot of law of attraction work. So let me tell you a bit about Neo. He was born and raised in the poorest and most dangerous city in America to early, and then he retired early, and he knows firsthand how to alter your life's current trajectory and your average daily mindset. He learned about the law of attraction in March of 2008, and he became obsessed with it, and he even retired from his job as a police officer 8 months later after applying this. Over the last 13 years, he's interviewed hundreds of law of attraction specialists and cataloged their greatest techniques from 40 plus hours a week to retirement at the age of 28. He is the voice of Thoughts Become Things movement. So, welcome, Neo.
Hello, and thank you for having me on the show.
My pleasure. So, what city was that?
That was Camden City, New Jersey. I don't think it's currently the most dangerous city in America, but spent a lot of time on that pedestal.
Okay. Okay. And what had you love law of attraction so much that you're like, I'm done with being a police officer. I'm going in this whole other direction.
You know what? I was always that spiritual being,
Mm-hmm.
that deep thinker, that kindergarten counselor to all my friends. And there was always a gap missing in
Mm-hmm.
my mind, as kids would grow up, different religions, and there's gaps. As soon as I saw The Secret, it was a wrap. As soon as I saw the movie The Secret, March of 2008, I knew instantly a bunch of puzzle pieces that had previously been empty. They were all filled in, and a
Nice.
flood of thoughts about all the different things I did growing up that was different from other people that I didn't care. I was doing them anyway. Certain visualization techniques and meditating and stuff like that. No one in New Jersey I knew was meditating. So yeah, that movie just put everything together for me, and I was obsessed day one, and I knew I can get exactly what I want. And obviously the first thing anyone's going to go for is, to be able to, I'll just say financial freedom, to be able to not go to work and
Mm-hmm.
still pay all the bills and know that your family's going to be okay no matter what happens to you. That's like, to me, that's retired. I know a couple of people who are retired, but they're depending on residual income from properties or whatever. It's not retired to me. You got to be able to just be, paralyzed from the neck down, and your family is still taken care of. That's what I wanted, and that's what I went for. And that's what I got.
Wow. So how did you do it?
Started off with I used to have it right here, a check of how much I would require every month to live that life. And I kept it in my pocket, put it under the pillow. I had another one taped to the ceiling. So when I woke up, it was the first thing I looked at. That spawned off into a pebble. The Secret tells you to put a
Mm-hmm.
pebble in your pocket. Every time you feel it, you're like, what is that? Oh, yeah, you do an affirmation. And the affirmations would be things like, I'm so happy and thankful that I'm retired. I love being retired. I'm blessed,
Mm.
all those affirmations. And that's how it started. Then I started watching YouTube videos, and Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, they were using different mental exercises that some worked and some didn't. I can't sit here and say I'm a billionaire without the ego coming in and punching me in my stomach and reminding me that I'm not, with bank statements and facts. And so that was it right there. I knew that the ego was a problem for my objective, which was to stay positive for as many thoughts as I could throughout the day. And that's when I knew I was going to have to attack it head on and come up with ways to say things like, I love being retired, and have the ego subside. Give me a couple minutes to stew in that, vibrate at that frequency, because any two things that vibrate at the same frequency will naturally pull towards each other. And so, yeah, that was my goal. Study that. And then I started coming up with my own mental exercises. one after one, posting them on Facebook. And, next thing you know, the universe said, sit down. It's time, and I accepted it. And it was really not literally an offer, but it felt like an offer from the universe. Okay, this is what you wanted. Here it is. But there's stipulations. And, I hold up on my end of the bargain.
Stipulations like?
I was in my cop car, right?
Uh-huh.
And I had my first real conversation with God. I'll say, whatever you believe in created you and is creating things as we go. That's the figure I'm talking about. And when I say it was my first real conversation, because I grew up Catholic Christian, praying to the ceiling, dear God, bless Aunt Joan and Uncle Timmy.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up. But this conversation was like me and you are talking.
Yep.
We're engaged. If someone walked by in the background, I wouldn't really notice because I'm into this. And I asked God, he was in the backseat of my cop car because it's just the way it went down. And I said, please let me sit at home and study the brain. I've always been obsessed with the brain. And
Ooh,
study
me
the brain
too.
and help people. That was it. No more monkey suit, no more schedules. I just want to sit at home, study the brain, and help people on a massive scale, not just my city. And he said, okay. Just like that voice tell you duck or move, turn left at the stop, it was that, okay. But whatever I show you, no matter how silly it may sound, you have to share it with everyone, the world. And I was just like, all right, that, it's a no-brainer. If you got great news, you want to shout it from the mountaintops anyway. And shortly after that, I was retired, and I had this information that got me there that sounded absurd to the average person. A lot of it took me a good 6 years before I opened up about having conversations with God, how I speak with God versus how I spoke with him growing up, because I know that's such a touchy subject.
I love speaking with God. I mean, as a kid, it was the two-way dialogue. I remember I was 13 when Conversations with God books came out. I was a teenager. At least that's when I got exposed to it. I was a teen. And I was like, yay, somebody, finally gets me. Like, you can have a two-way dialogue with God. It doesn't have to be this like imaginary something out there. Like, no, God's like right here.
It's so funny you say two-way dialogue, because growing up, it wasn't two-way. It was just bless my dad and bless my mom. There was no listening and waiting for the answer. And even if I did, I thought that was me giving the answer. When you go into the oneness, which we could dive into, it is me at the end of the day, because everything that exists is all, one big vibrating energy wave. So we are one with God. But just for the duality sense of things, I would hear that voice and think it was me just BSing, giving me the answer I wanted at the moment. So, and since I've come to learn that when you ask certain questions, there's different voices. You got the God voice that says, yes, go. And then you got the you voice that says, but I got bills. And then the ego steps in and says, you can't spend that now. If you do, you're going to be broke by Friday. And, so there's different layers of voices, and being able to identify which one to listen to is so critical
Yes,
in this law of attraction
discernment
journey.
is incredibly important when you're on this journey, because otherwise you don't know who to trust, what to trust.
You know what's funny? The book called The Untethered Soul, amazing book. I suggest everybody pick it up. It made me see my thoughts as like reporters in a press conference, just waving their hands with ideas. Hey, entertain this idea. Hey, entertain. And I'm just like, no. And for those out there who might be thinking, why wouldn't you? Just think about when you were in high school and you had a girlfriend or boyfriend, and you called them and they didn't answer. And the first thing you thought was, oh my goodness, are they mad at me? Did I get caught? Or did it, and then, you run all these scenarios, everything's popping you in the head, and then they were in the shower. That's why they didn't hit you back. And that's an example of all these voices and all these suggestions and scenarios. And they're not you. They're not you. And you don't have to entertain them. Most of the time, these voices are wrong in the first place. So this is who you're going to take your advice from. It's when you really step back, you get a general feel for everything. And you're like, all right, I'm going to address this totally different than I have for the rest of my life. And your parents might have taught you differently, but they don't know what's going on up here. They don't know you're doing it. This is you, your journey. Be you. Discover what feels right and do that.
And what were some of the most profound messages, and maybe some of the most silliest ones, since you used that word earlier?
What do you mean? Like, give me an example.
Well, you in your conversations with God, and God gave you these
Oh.
insights. So, what were some of the most profound?
Well, the whole oneness with God was probably one of the most important ones. And I was raised to believe that if you're bad or mean or ugly on inside, God would smite thee and strike thee down, and you're going to hell for the rest of your eternity. I
Mhm.
was really, really that was pushed into my head every week. And so for this being, this essence that gave me this information, that retired me to be screaming to me to share this with the world, I'm like, dude, I'm going to lose all my followers. Everything I've gained up to this point in this mission to spread the law of attraction, I'm going to lose as soon as I take it this far. And lo and behold, I knew it the whole time that was going to be what pushed me over the top, was when I started
Mhm.
talking about the oneness and sharing. Mirror work is amazing. You look in the
Mm.
mirror and you say,
Yep.
look in your eyes and say something, you'll see the facts, you'll see the truth, and you'll see the lies. But if you take it a step further and see that the reflection in the mirror, and then put God essence in that reflection, and say
Mhm.
something to it then, and wait, just listen to what it says, Zach, you know? And then you're going to take it a step further, flip it, put you in the mirror. What would God say to me? Say it and then wait. It's all these different little games and stuff like that that I would never have made videos about on YouTube before. Lo and behold, some of my biggest and most important and most appreciated subjects and talks. A lot of people don't want to get quiet with the mirror. They don't want to look in the mirror, and they don't want to talk to God because the negative thoughts or the nasty thoughts that, as soon as you have a conversation with God up here and your brain goes to, oh man, that person at work really screwed me over last week. You're like, I don't want to, no, think happy thoughts. You're not fooling anybody. Whatever you believe in, God, universe already knows what you're thinking. So go ahead and have the conversation, open up the dialogue. And so that was probably one of the biggest things, was that, get right with God, get one with God, talk, experiment, see where it goes, experiment some more, see where that goes, experiment some more.
Mhm. Hey, that check that you used to have you increased it since then? Like, do you still use the check method?
I got a book full of checks. As a matter of fact, it's funny every day. And nobody writes checks. So for me to have
Right.
this right here, this is an old checking account from, like, man, I don't, they don't have dates on them, but it's probably from 2008. They used to get an opening account and they give you a stack of checks. So this old account don't even have it anymore, but every day I write a check to somebody, even if it's to myself. And I really get in the moment, in the mode, in the feel. Yeah, I wrote my sister a $30,000 check so she can open a restaurant. Nice little down payment on the spot she's been looking at. Beautiful feeling, watering that seed, vibrating at that frequency.
Mhm.
Then it's funny because I have a shredder under my desk. When I shred the check, that's me sending it to the universe. Like if you write a letter or whatever and burn it and the smoke goes
Mhm.
up, when I shred it, that's my release. I'm releasing this to the
Mm.
universe. And so, I write checks to myself. Like, for the next, I'm going to be going to Georgia. Georgia, right? I'm doing a lot of traveling. I'm going to Georgia real soon. I wrote myself a check last night, you know,
Nice.
and I got to tell you, man, that check stuff really works. It really does work. But there's a formula to everything, and you got to keep revamping it. Every week, I've revamped all of my mental exercises. Some are compounding, removing some, inserting some, reading a book, putting another one in there, and I've come up with 2 4-segment sentences, like basically 2 paragraphs that I would say that really set me up for everything. But it's a format that I've put together over years of research and development.
Nice. Are you
You want to
willing
hear
to
it?
give us an example? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the first part is, you're going to say, Big Sean says, I don't use the word want anymore. Want is the feeling of lack. So first you would say, I desire, but you're talking to what I call watcher. that essence that you could feel watching you sometimes. I know you know what I'm talking about. You're in a quiet room by yourself, you do something silly and you kind of feel it watching you. Uh, I make statements to that. I call that watcher, aka God. And I'll tell it what I desire. I desire this, this, and that. And then I'll ask for it, because there's something about asking for it that is a critical element. Even though it's like anti-law of attraction, you're asking for it, it's a feeling of lack. For some reason, it just works. So the next thing is you ask for what you desire. And then the next thing is you make a statement about how you deserve it or how it would feel to have it. All of them have emotion, everything I'm saying right now. And the last step is one of the latest ones from a book I read recently, and that's to ask a why question about it. Whether it be,
I
why do I
love
manifest? There it
mhm.
is. Why do I manifest such greatness? Why do I eat healthy? Why do I attract the right people? Why do I always get money right when I ask for it? It's something about asking that question makes the universe prove it to you physically. This is why. Because you're an amazing person. I'm going to give you some more, whether it be health, wealth, love, or happiness. So
I like to
that's pretty
start them
much
with
the first
how,
steps.
like, how can I be the best version of myself, right? And let the reticular activator of my brain go and search.
How is a great one. How is a really, really great one. It involves listening, though.
Mm,
Once you ask that question, you got to sit quiet and wait for that answer. And
mhm.
that's when, if you don't have those voices down pat as to which one's you, which one's God, which one's ego, if you don't have them down pat, you could get confused. So I try to stay away from how, sometimes, just like the word can, like for years, I took that out of my vocabulary, because can just manifests a future where you're saying can again. Can I have that car? A year later, can I have that car? A year later, can you never get it using that phrase? But I found some power in it. I can do this. I can do that. Oh yeah, I can do that. I could run a multi-million-dollar corporation.
Mhm.
I found some power in it, so I use it for that. So there's definitely poison words. Hope is one of them. I hope this will happen. I hope that happens someday. That only manifests a future where you're saying, I hope again. But if you use it in a different, semantics are everything. Use it in a different way, it's going to produce different results. So be careful with can, hope, will. You're gonna be very careful with those.
Mhm. Yeah, I try to never say something even in my mind or put it on my calendar unless I'm actually committed to doing it because it just is like it leaks the energy out, and diffuses it. Takes my
Well,
essence away.
and on a flip note to that, I want to give everybody two things that recently have really impacted my life, as far as putting things on the calendar. I had a conference I was going to go to the third week of February in Chicago. Nobody wants to be in February in Chicago. Nobody.
Brr.
So I kind of chalked it off and just said I wasn't going. Um, and but I told everybody, I said, you know what? I'm not going to eliminate it. I'm gonna keep it up as a possibility. But as for now, I just don't see it, and I let it go. And then a couple of days later, somebody called me and sponsored me to go. Like, listen, I just want you to be there. And I was just like, it was a benefit for me all around. It was 30,000 people there that I could shake hands with and, speak to. So it was a benefit either way. And so putting something on your calendar, like the next big event, putting it on your calendar, and then as you approach it, if it doesn't seem like it's going to happen, it's one thing to say, well, it's not going to happen and rule it out. It's another thing to say, listen, it doesn't look like it's in the stars, but I'm still open to it. And I found that every time I do that, I end up going.
Mhm.
So make sure you don't rule things out. People say things like, I'll get a promotion in 5 years. You're totally destroying the chance of you getting it in 2.
Mm.
Be open to taking a vacation next week,
Or
even though
sooner.
yeah, be open to taking
Or
a vacation
sooner.
next week, even if your schedule's fully packed. You can win the lottery tomorrow. What happened to your schedule? All that work you needed to get done is gone. So don't close yourself off to these opportunities with absolutes.
Mhm. Love it. And, I know you do a lot of speaking engagements. What are your favorite types of people or venues to speak at? for us to like listen to, how we can possibly connect you with those places.
You know what? I've offices. The dental world has been really receptive to the law of attraction versus the police and firemen or military world who's like, oh, that's just wishy-washy. That's hippie stuff. And so the dental world is where I've been doing a lot of my segments and speeches and workshops at. So if you guys know a dental conference that needs a speaker or morning huddles, I'm really getting into morning huddles every day before work. They have 10, 15 minutes where they sit back and talk about what needs to get accomplished that day, what didn't get accomplished the day before. I would come in and do the last 5 minutes of that huddle. And I'm even creating a huddle series for,
Mm.
because a lot of doctors and dentists and office leaders aren't really good at motivating people. They know how to get the job done. They know how to get the stats and the figures up, but motivating your team, getting two people who have been beefing all year to squash it, they're not really. So this gives them something easy. Just click a button and you'll be able to, that video will set them straight. The way I instill the law of attraction, you don't want to be mean to your neighbor because you know what is going to happen to you. And
Yeah.
I do it in a way that it sticks. Everyone
Nice.
I know that has gone to see Tony Robbins speak, Deepak Chopra, Esther Hicks, when I asked them to quote something from them, I've never gotten an answer. They're like, oh, well, you got to be positive. I've never gotten a solid quote. So was that person that impactful? Lo and behold, people I talked to 12 years ago will tell you, oh, that's the Thoughts Become Things guy. They're not going to forget this. I have a special way of painting pictures that really makes things stick in your mind. So when you're mad at your coworker later, or your husband or wife does something to you later, and you're about to flip on them, you really wake yourself up and check yourself. So that's been one of my main objectives, and I've been very successful at waking people up, even when I'm not there.
Nice. Excellent. And I know that you also have a series of these that you give away. So I'm going to put up on the screen here your website so that people can sign up and get your little daily positive vibe. Is it videos? Is it an email? A
I was
combo?
just actually on the with the programmer earlier. Right now, it's emails. It's a inspirational email that gets sent out 1 or 4 days a week, whatever you choose. And we're transitioning to text messages too. So it would be a text that's 2 sentences long, but if you wanted to dive deeper because you're having a bad day or whatever, you go to the email, which is a couple paragraphs and a video. So either way you want it, there it is. It's free. The website is right there. And I also, for accountability partners, I'm huge on that. Like just texting someone, hey, what mental exercise are you doing today? Or are you staying positive today? And if I don't text them today, they text me. Like that's a real accountability partner for me. So I created a forum on my website for us accountability partners to check each other. So if I
Nice.
take a week off and you take a week off, somebody else is in there waking us up. Like, hey, what mental exercises are you doing today? Are you saying yes 10 times? Are you saying thank you 10 times? Are you smiling for 60 seconds? Just all different ones. So yes, all that is on neopositivity.com.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Neo. I appreciate you and all the positive vibes you're bringing to the world, especially to, dentists and first responders. I mean, they need it. There's so much, especially in the last few years, so much like depression and anxiety and stress and fear that they've been exposed to. And the fact that someone can go in there and shed some light and positivity and motivate them and reactivate their heart and do it in a way that is safe for them to hear it and feel it and be it, I think is wonderful. So thank you for the work that you're doing. And I definitely recommend everyone just going to his website, neopositivity.com. It's up on the screen, and learn more and get
And
those email and text,
I was
positive,
I was just
juicy
gonna
moments.
say, because I see you said free gift. When you do sign up for the email, you do get a free gift, which is my number one mental exercise that I use throughout the day to produce all the stuff that I'm producing. So make sure you sign up there. And I just wanted to thank you for all that you're doing.
Mm.
There's a multitude of people that didn't click like, they just watched the video and left, and you'll never hear them say thank you. But on behalf of all them, I want to say thank you to you for, being a soldier in this war on negativity, that I like to call it. So thank you for all that you do, taking your time out to put these shows together and just share.
Thank you for the acknowledgement. I accept it and receive it. And thank you for being here today. And together we'll go arm in arm, East Coast, West Coast, our arms stretch across the country
Let's
and we'll
do
get
it.
her done. All
Nice.
right. Much love. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.